I asked all of you guys to give me some really bad build ideas, and let's just say you definitely delivered. So today I picked out 10 comments and I'm going to be building those in Bloxburg. If you want to be in future videos like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my community posts. We're also on the road to 70,000, so I would really appreciate it. Anyways, let's get right into the video. So the first comment is by Riot, who wants me to build a hair transplant facility. Now, if you don't know, Riot is actually bald, so I can see why he wants us to build this. Thankfully, we already have a hair salon in the game. So let's just give it a nice renovation. So as you guys can see, I've got the front of the hair salon here, and we can just top it all off by putting an opening in here so you can walk on inside. Now, so at the front here, you can obviously check in and get all that fun stuff figured out. I'll just put like a simple chair here. And then in the back is going to be where the magic happens. And I need to make one of those little beds that you can like lay down on, like the hospital looking beds. And then this is all I can really do, but by using the simple tablecloth, it acts like a hospital bed almost. You just hop on there. And to make it so you can actually lay down, I'm going to put a sleeping bag on this table. Then we readjust the base, and there we go. As you guys can see, that actually turned out kind of well. And just for good measure, I'm gonna be adding like little pieces of hair all over the floor. Now Riot can meet with the most qualified doctors and finally get some hair. I'd say he looks pretty great. The next comment is from My Forehead is Big, and they're asking me to build an army base with a Burger King inside of it. What kind of question is that? Alright, so army bases typically are in like a more desert setting. So that's going to be fun to try and do. And they're also like these little tents. And basically we're just going to make a bunch of tents, and then in one of these we'll put a Burger King, because that's what they're asking. Alrighty guys, so for an army tent, we're sort of going to have something like this basically, which this is kind of crazy to be honest. I seriously cannot believe that I'm making an army tent in Bloxburg. And then to sort of add to our design, I'm going to basically add like little strings that are like holding the tent up almost. So basically something like that. Oh, that looks cool. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So we're sort of getting an entrance in here. This is ridiculous. And there we go. That is tent number 1. That actually looks pretty cool. I'm going to very quickly get our sort of desert flooring here. Sort of something like that. Actually, guys, I have an even better idea, right? So I'm going to have all of these tents. And then right in this middle spot here, I'm actually just going to build a Burger King. And so we can't obviously do like a full-size Burger King here, but I'll just do a pretty simple one. Now, granted, does it look like this was made by a 5-year-old? Maybe. But they didn't say I had to do an interior. So there is my Burger King inside of an army base. The next comment is from RH Studio B, and they want me to make a floating upside down house. What better house to make upside down than the starter house? We're going to go through here and get the perfect grid size of the entire starter house. This is so everything can be transformable on one cube, and now I am proud to say I have the entire layout of the starter house on my base plate here. Now, this is actually a remodeled starter house that I made in a video. So that's why my interior may look a little bit different. But now I have to make walls throughout the entire build. And each wall has to be 12 blocks tall in total. And since these tiny base plates here are 0.25, I have to make the walls 11.75. And now I just simply have to paint my walls. And now the walls are copy and pasteable just like that. So by ignoring the wall pieces that have a window on them, I can just place my exterior walls just like this. And as you can see, I have a pretty simple yet detailed version of the starter house. And I can still transform all of it. But I won't be able to forever, so that's why we have to do this next step pretty fast. I have to now make a cutout in the wall for both a window and a door, which that's going to take up a lot of basic shapes. So hopefully I don't have to use too many and can get this done rather quickly. And so guys, I've made the window there, although unfortunately I have found out that I have to flip the house now. Otherwise, it's just quite simply not going to work. So, as you can see, my house is now flipped, which is rather unfortunate. Although fortunately, I found a pretty simple way that I can just make the door. And that is by just coming right up to this door here, and pretty much just copying it one for one. And well, I unfortunately can't really copy that door one for one. What I can do though, is have it be pretty close, and I think it is. So now I just flip it upside down, and boom. Now I have to make a roof, which making a roof is probably going to be really challenging. Although the easiest way I can think of doing this is by quite simply just using the existing thing I already had, and now I fill this with basic shapes. And there we go. That is a fully clonable roof. Guys, I have made the starter house upside down. There is no way, bro. No way I just did that. That's wild. I'd say that was a mission complete. The next comment is from LERR31, and they want me to make a bunker made with glass that is out in the open. I don't know what kind of idea that is, but it's safe to say I'm not really surprised. So I'm gonna go to the center of my plot here and make a bunker out in the middle of the open. How exciting. And as you guys can see, I've made a pretty nice looking window, which I'll definitely roll with. But yeah, I think this looks really cool, honestly. So you know what? Maybe this wasn't such a bad idea. There's just one slight problem, and that there's no way in. Except for the roof. You see guys, I'm going to be making the entire roof out of glass as well, and I'm just going to have a hole in the roof that you're going to have to paraglide into. I'm just now realizing how expensive this build is going to be. Oh, Bloxburg money gods, please forgive me. And so I actually changed my mind. I'm just going to have a staircase right here that takes you up to the roof. And there we go. We have this massive roof on the build. Oh my gosh, that is something. But we can obviously, you know, get a little comfortable in here. I'm not going to have any walls because we're just going to have no privacy whatsoever. All of our walls in here are just windows. To get into the bathroom right here, you have to go through another window, so that's fun. And then we put a nice mirror in here too. And then we put a shower with a curtain everywhere except for out here. That's crazy. Now it's time to add some counter space and the nice fridge. There we go. But yeah, overall, I'd say this is actually a pretty livable area, minus all the privacy concerns. But like, you know, you have a dining table, you got a kitchen, you got a living area, you do have a bedroom with a TV, and you have a shower. I don't know how you have plumbing, because there definitely should not be plumbing down here, but somehow there is. So that's fun. But either way, I'd say that is another successful build. The next comment is from Spokey Wokey, and they want me to build a house inside of a car. Now this is going to be quite the challenge, but I could just use the Blox's TS right here. And what we're going to try to do is use basic shapes to make a miniature house inside of this car. By simply using the transform tool, I can put anything on this basic shape and put it in this car. But for now, I'll leave it out here. And so to sort of kick things off here, I'll just use like a mini house, which is pretty simple. We can just use something like this. I figured it'd be cool to put some actual detail onto this house, starting off with like a nice arched porch right there. And then for my roof, I can just use a horizontal wedge. And to be honest, we're using quite a simple design, but that's okay. And so there, I have two gable roofs. And now just to add some windows, I can quite simply just use a nice plank. And there we go. That house seems simple enough. And as you can see, we have a house inside of a car. The next comment is from Max, and they want me to build a preschool with a Sephora inside of it. Now, thankfully, Bloxburg has recently added a playground set, so this is going to be very useful for this build. Now, for the preschool itself, there's not much that really needs to be detailed onto the building. Honestly, I could just roll with a layout sort of like this, and then over here is where I'll keep my playground at. And so as you guys can see, I have a pretty simple playground here, nothing too fancy. Then for the preschool itself, I was thinking that I sort of have my classrooms sort of laid out something like this with a hallway in the back. And then over here is the student bathrooms and then the teachers' bathrooms. Each classroom should have its own door outside. So to account for that, I'm just going to use the commercial door there. And there we go. Now just in one of these classrooms, I'll put my Sephora. Although for roofing purposes, I should probably get a nice roof on here. So something like that works. Then we'll paint it a nice color. And there we go. Now over here could definitely be the main entrance to the building, which we could just represent with like a sliding door. And I'll just try to keep the rest of this area around the playground like a sidewalk, with some neat parking spots right over here. And there we go. Now we also have some mulch in here too. Now inside this middle classroom, we're actually going to be putting our Sephora, which this might be a pretty tiny interior for Sephora, and that's okay. I do need though to work out my own flooring. And there we go. Now that we have a pretty simple floor, we can very easily have like a checkout area over here. And then I can use the plastic tiered shelving here and very easily put a bunch of makeup stuff on these, since I'm pretty sure that's what's in a Sephora. And so there we go. I'm gonna leave my shelving like this. So now I also got some lighting in here and also painted my shelves. I just have to quite simply fill every single shelf with an item, which this is going to take some time. And there we go. They're all filled up now. And yeah, there is your Sephora. Now to finish up the preschool, I'll at least build one classroom. Guys, what in the world happened to my avatar? What happened? Why am I running around like this? All right, so we are back now. For desks, I think it would be best if I go to the tables category and I use the laminate table. We're gonna make the board over our desk like a nice blue, just to really fit into the theme here. And so I think tables like that work. Then you just include a carpeted section over here where you can add all of these baby and kids toys. So you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna consider that a preschool with a Sephora inside of it. Next comment is from AOCW, and they want me to make a basement full of those banana things, including walls. So here is one of my mansions, and today we're gonna be filling its basement full of those banana things. Since I don't have a basement on the plot, I have to actually draw one out real quick. Speaking of which, guys, this house was super cool when I built it, and I absolutely love the interior I made. Like, I'm really proud of myself for even coming up with all this, so if you haven't seen this video, make sure you go check it out. But now, as you guys can see, I have a basement, and looks like we have some sound paneling in here. And here are the dancing bananas, which these are $450 per. I've spent over 100,000 on all of these bananas, and we aren't even done yet. We're not even halfway. Oh my gosh. And there we go. We have an entire basement full of bananas. We spent almost 200,000 on that. And if you want to know how to get down there, we're gonna add a nice secret door right here. I'm not sure why this room's green, but okay. But as you guys can see, you can just walk on in and you're trapped with the bananas with no way out. The next comment is from Glossy, and she wants me to make Regain Riot. Now this is going to be quite the challenge. So to start things off, we're going to start from the bottom here and work our way up. And that is by doing the shoes of his Roblox avatar. And so by looking at his avatar, we can say that that's one leg and then that's the other. Okay, next up, I have to do this weird midsection. I think that's like his belt. So to try and make a tie is going to be very interesting. As you guys know, I may not be the most artistic person, but the tie probably goes about this far here. And oh my gosh, this looks ridiculous. So I'd say that width is good. Now I have to use some structurals. And so this basically adds some like depth to the tie. Okay, hey, wait, why did I kind of cook on the tie? Hold on. Now I sort of have to do this weird design for the rest of his suit. So, and there we go. Okay, you know what? I'd say that's pretty good for like this front. Now to get his arm. Okay, I think those arms are pretty good. Now it is time. Time for the biggest part of this build. That is his head. I might have to use some other shapes to try and help resemble this. Oh no, why does he look like this? All right, so it might look a little interesting right now. Oh no. But now I'm gonna work on his hat really quick. Hopefully that's something I can't exactly screw up, so. All right, holy cow, this took a while to make a perfect circle out of. Don't tell me this is too big, bro. Oh my god, why is the... Wait, why is it so big? Oh no. Why does this look so scuffed? Oh my gosh, this looks terrible. Oh no. I don't even want to know how I would go about making his face. Dude, now he looks like the Grinch. Oh no. Well, on to the next one we go. The next comment is from I Love Cheerleading, and they want me to make an ugly water park. Now, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by ugly water park, but obviously we do have plenty of slides in the game. So I could definitely start off by using like simple water slides around a pool, which if we were going for an ugly water park, we could have like a massive pool right here, for instance. And then we just paint the walls like a rust, the bottom like a green. This just looks like a nuclear lab pool. I can roll with some slides here. Weirdly enough, I've never bought any of those. That's kind of crazy. Then you put Evil Duck. I actually completely forgot that we had these in the game. That's kind of funny. And like all these floaties in here, right? So you have all of the floaties in the world, but you're just in like the worst pool of all time. Like this pool is terrible. And now I've never actually done a water park before, so I'm gonna experiment with something real quick. We're gonna try and make the longest slide possible. Obviously right here is the start. So here's just the gentle straight. Then we get a small right turn, and we just keep copy and pasting this. Whoa, this looks weird. This looks like a snake. This is gonna be a fun one, hold on. And so yeah, there's that slide. Now to make it even better, we're just gonna paint it a nice, lovely green. All right, here we go. We're gonna go down this massive slide now. This, you know, it starts off pretty simple, then it gets a little interesting. Oh my gosh, dude, this is quite the sight. Okay, yeah, it's kind of fun, except now I'm in radioactive water. And last but not least, James wants us to build a decal house. Which, you'll know this is a bad thing for me because I don't like using decals, especially not decal plants. But James, if you insist, I'll make a decal house. Well, James, I hope this is good enough for you.